My webinar is being live streamed. Perfect. Slower start here. Just lean back and we can start things. I'll record it here. There's like, actually, I don't have to record. It's going to be on YouTube. What am I going on about? There's not really too much volume, realistically in this market. We're in a period of like low volatility. Markets are trading at all-time highs, meaning that there are lesser and lesser trades to go by. I had one trade yesterday, and I went to the movies. That's how my day shaped up. We had non-farm payrolls, pretty hopeful news event in terms of injecting some kind of volume and volatility into the market, right? The non-farm payrolls growth was expected to return to more normal levels in November. Economists predict after hurricanes and the strike at Boeing. Remember those October? Was it October? Those October figures were, what was it, like 12,000 estimate. The U.S. economy had projected to add 200,000 jobs last month. And according to consensus estimates, rebounding from a $12,000 report, not dollar, 12,000 reported in the Labor Department's initial quote for October payrolls. So expect the Bureau of Labor Statistics to revise those prior numbers as well. So I need to take a look at what those numbers are. The U.S. unemployment rate came out at 4.2%, so a little bit of a pop from the expected and the prior 4.1%. The U.S. non-farm payrolls, 220,000 were expected, 227 actually came out. Are there any revised figures? Let me just double check here. Revised 36,000 versus 12,000. So like not even that big of a change, honestly. It's still a pretty insignificant number. Markets popped a bit off of that news. We were kind of pulling lower before that. We were kind of hiking lower and lower, right? You can see we were moving below some of the key areas on both Nasdaq and the S&P, something I'll cover in just a bit. But after that news, we kind of pulled back up. The unemployment upticking, though, that was a big, more of a concern. More importantly, the jobs numbers are going to have a larger, I guess, macro effect or outlook before the Federal Reserve's meeting on December 17th to 18th. The central bank now sees the risks of its dual mandate of full employment and price stability as roughly balanced, but outsized numbers could sway any policy decisions. And while Fed officials have said that they can be patient in adjusting the benchmark rate, if the labor market deteriorates more sharply than expected, they will take action to ease the policy quickly, which was pretty much what they did off of that first cut. That first cut, 50 bips, pretty aggressive. And since then, I believe they only cut one since then. So we'll see how the December policy comes out. But right now, I think that the higher probability does stick with another 25 basis point cut. So aggressiveness turns into kind of sloth as things kind of level out, quote unquote. So main piece of information, we had the non-farms in a few minutes. Fed's Bowman is going to speak, and then we have Fed's Goolsbee at 10:30. We got consumer sentiment today, and then Fed's Hammock speaking at 12. Fed's Daily speaking at 1. So a bunch of Fed speakers that are littered throughout the day. Still, volume is like exceptionally low right now in this equity market. We've got 135,000 contracts traded here on the SPOOs, as well as 73,000 trade on the Nasdaq. So listen, 135,000 contracts traded pre-market on the SPOOs after NFP is pretty bad still. And that typically does happen as we're positioned into all-time highs. Volatility and volume are extremely low. So until we get a more significant pullback where we can actually create a larger balance in these prices, we're most likely not going to see too much volume as we just like slowly grind, drift higher. Now, I'm going to talk about what am I going to talk about? I don't even know. I'm going to talk about the plan for equities and the breakdown of the equities in a bit. Let's put Steven on first, talk about oil, and then we'll go back into equities to create a plan for today. Friday buy day. low volatility, low volume, with the expectation that there is a decent probability going into this holiday season that we do continue some of this upside swing. So, with that being said, right, keep that in mind as we'll take a look back at the equity analysis, but let's take a look at oil first here. Um,
Good morning, Victoria.
morning.
What are
How
you
we doing today?
are you doing good today?
Yes, sir. Looking for more dips to buy. Been
Hmm.
buying dips all week, but need
Did
more,
you
I
want to
guess.
did you want to record this?
It's gonna be on YouTube. It's gonna be recorded in one way or another.
Okay.
So yeah, you just go ahead.
All right. Well, good morning, Victoria. Good morning, TRADEPRO Academy. Oil market is down rather sharply today. We opened over $2 lower than we opened yesterday. Yesterday was a down session in the pit, and the Globex has continued. We put in a Globex low of 67.32, which as you can see is right on S2. Pivots all the way up at 68.53. Caught her open this morning in the 67.44 area. And so we've been generally trending down, but we put in that Globex low and it tried to make a run to the VWAP, which failed. So the problem here is when we're stuck between S1 and S2, those are two very serious support resistance lines. Um, and so we'll just have to watch and see what it does. You get back above the VWAP, you can take a fader long. Obviously, if you break below S2, then you could be on for a trend short. So we'll just let the market tell us what it wants to do, and we'll follow along. Vittorio, back to you.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone checking us out on YouTube. Um, Let me just reshare this screen. Remember today, like one of the things that I do want to say before we jump into this, if you have any questions, if you have any topics you'd like to discuss, yesterday I said post it in our futures accountability room on Discord. So like I'll go through that if there are any. Maybe I missed some, maybe I didn't, but I'll read through some of the stuff that I've said. If you want, tag me or in a reply to something that you might have said yesterday, or on YouTube or in the comments, whatever it is. Let me know if there's a topic you want to discuss because again, anticipated most likely not going to have the craziest of movement, and the opportunity might be a little dulled. So just yeah, we can yap about whatever topic if you guys want to know something specific. So let's start off with the S&P here. Um, so typically what happens, right? We've discussed this a lot, but trading into all-time highs is not the easiest thing in the world. If anything, it is one of the more difficult things because you don't necessarily have enough data that allows you to come up with a decent hypothesis other than the most immediate data from the volume. So like that's what I look at. I'm not necessarily looking at price action or anything like that. I'm looking at order flow and the volume that is created into these highs. Now, one of the things we talked about yesterday was that around that 90 area, high 80, low 90 was the block on the S&P that we were anticipating to hold. It did hold pretty good into the morning, and it's the same area. Right now, we're trying to develop an auction into these like mid 70s, 60, 70, oops, wrong number. 60, 75, we can say all the way up to about like 6105. So it's not a bad like 30-point auction being developed, a 30-point balance being developed with like a nice balance divisor over here right at this like 60, 88 to like 92. So this area for me, you can see we're about to open above it. If we're going to hold out some bullishness, I would want to see this camp of buyers over here right at this region try to hold out that buy side momentum. You start slipping into that, right? You get into the bottom band of that auction, and then around 75 is probably the last long that you want to see before we're seeing a larger slip. That's what we've been looking for over the past few days, and it's been holding pretty well. So I probably continue just to stick with that. The caveat here is that, yeah, okay, we can hold this area, but what we'd want to see as well is an expansion, right, into new highs from that region so that we can see that continuation of momentum. So one of the other things that draws me to that area that makes it very nice and round and pivotal is that we have this like blockade of positive delta. This is after the news event from the non-farm payrolls came out. So we had this expansion here, and then you have a clustering of nice heavier positive delta from the overnight. Now, how heavy is it? Like relative to the overnight session, it's fairly juicy, but relative to just like general heaviness of imbalance, it's not that thick, right? It's like you have like 300s of positive delta, which on S&P isn't anything like special, but on the overnight session, it looks pretty okay. So I'm still gonna look at that as a potential decent support structure. It's a very similar story here into this, I would say 480 to 490 on the NASDAQ. It's a bit more positively skewed into that area on the NASDAQ because the figures on positive delta are nearing 100 or above 100. So it's a similar concept in terms of trying to understand where these auctions are. Oh, shit, what did I do? I made this thing like crap. Anyways, I'll fix that. So we're trying to understand like where these auctions are and like how these auctions are taking place, especially the development of new auctions into these highs. Very important piece of information. So like you can see around 550, an area that we said was fairly tired and exhaustive yesterday, all the way down into about, we can quantify it as like 440 to 450 most immediately. I would say that becomes the bottom of the most immediate distribution, right? Some might argue it might be a little lower. So we can keep that in mind as well. But for me, realistically, it's split into these two auctions like this. Larger auctions split into two. Naturally, the larger auction, the bottom band holds some precedence over it. But if I'm a buyer, right, I would like to see the accumulation of the buy side holding out around like 480 to 490 on today's session, and then moving into a new high from that area. I think that would be beneficial for the buyer to hold rather than us swinging all the way back down to like 440 realistically, because you start losing these areas, you start losing like 400 over here. You don't really have too much volume all the way down about 200 points lower. So we're developing a decent balance into these highs. So it's about, will the buyer actually hold this area or not? Now, one of the things that I don't like about this is that we're coming into the open pretty much trading at those levels. And like, I'm not a fan of that because that means that I've got a choice to get long right at the open pretty much or wait. And my choice is to wait and see how these guys actually develop their sentiment and the information that comes through after the data pre-market as well as, Friday into a new balance into an all-time high. So I'd rather that rather than me just like jumping in and like throwing shit around and like thumping around. So let's see what happens. Uh yeah, let me know if you have questions. Second here. So a few questions. I wouldn't necessarily uh say that this is a P shape nor this is a B shape, but I guess to each their own. Um, how many days am I colorful profiles? These are all individual sessions. So like this is the overnight is the lighter background of blue, and then the day session is the darker background, and then the one colorful one on the right hand side is a weekly. Do I display my trades? Yeah, if I take a trade, you're gonna see it on the screen. Is there anyone alive who can trade Nasdaq purely from the DOM without tick compression? I don't know. Um, I use the DOM without tick compression on Nasdaq, but I wouldn't say I purely trade off of that. Um, not at all, actually. Like it's a good tool that I use, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie that 90% of my trading comes from that on Nasdaq. But I don't use tick compression. Oh my fuck, what is going on here? Is it possible to enter with 100 cons on NQ without getting liquidated? It is if you have like a big ass stop. Like if you enter 100 lots at like once on NQ, you're gonna get hunted most likely. Like you're gonna get abused a little. But if you have like a big ass stop, can you explain a bit about that on NQ? Is that from the Dom play? Nah, like um yesterday's trade on NQ is literally what I said was the plan from today. You have volume drop off in like a multi distribution from the prior night or the prior shit. Here, this is like the long idea from yesterday where oh my god, I can't even control this. So you have like a multi-distribution play here from the prior day on Nasdaq. You have this is like a pretty big balance of heaviness of volume that starts at 490, right? So in and around that area, realistically, if we're gonna hold out on the bid on the developing profile here, right? I want to see 490 hold a bid. It was just like icing on the cake yesterday, right? This entry area. You guys remember that, everyone that was in the room. We had a juicy one from there. But huge negative delta forming, meaning like a bunch of people hammering in on the market short side, wherever they're like, whether they're getting stopped, whether they're just getting into shorts, whether they're closing out positions. It was just a shitload of selling that wasn't going anywhere, rebid instantaneously. It was like order flow as well to get in on the entry, but the area, the location is based on the auction, so I just bid it from there. when I have like an aggressiveness of like all this negative delta forming at that area, and like buyers are stepping in against it right at a region that drops off on like a volume profile, like based on the plan, that's it's beautiful, it's juicy. I know Brian's long right now pre-market from that 490 area. Shit, man, you did well. I was looking at it too, and I'm like, God damn, like, do I just do it here pre-market? I feel like I'm not gonna get that like opportunity, you know? Why did I didn't miss the whole move actually, Robert. My last exit was like 561 or 62 or some shit. On NQ, would you see that we might go to 21,390 before we pull up? I'd rather not. I don't like I wouldn't want to see it that low. If we're gonna be bullish on NQ, like hold higher lows into the auctions that we're trying to accept right now. The what's it called? The last like 2 weeks, I've been trading so much less, and I'm like super satisfied with that because um they're just like super patient trades. And yesterday I had one. Like this whole week I've had eight. I counted them, eight. Oh nice. Jihan's long 494. Do I primarily trade ES or the Nasdaq right now? Nasdaq because like ES is a pile of shit. Like what's this? ES is so slow, dude. Like I'll trade it on like big massive areas with the anticipation that I want to like swing it. If I don't think I can get like a 10 to 15 point move on the ES, like I don't like I'm probably not going to take it. Like VIX is super low 13. That's not like the best environment to trade ES right now, in my opinion. Yeah, I hope ES hears me. So it can get active. ES is trading 152,000 contracts right now. Like we got a minute and a half until the market opens. That is like that's what I'm saying. If you guys have any like questions or any topics you'd like to discuss, let me know because we'll see. Friday fun day, but like I'll have like two bullets realistically. We'll see how that goes. Um, oh, nice, Jacqueline. Glad you're enjoying those lessons. 12 positions total today, or sorry, not today. Steven says on the week. That's and green, dude. That's like perfect. Are there any educational resources in the paid membership? Yeah, of course. There's like a whole futures course. I don't even know how many lessons it is. If anyone wants to help me out, let me know. Is it like 30 or something? And then there's literally endless resources of DOM replays, journal videos. There's probably like not 100, maybe like 70 of those resources of reviews and like DOM replays. And then I think like 30 lessons in the course or something. Um, I can't remember exactly. Maybe me not buying this pre-market is okay. Big seller just threw in a bunch of lots at 500 here on Nasdaq. Listen, oh wait, this is another thing. Market's about to open in like 5 seconds. Um, one of my thoughts as well here. Okay, here's the market open. Ding, 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 whatever. One of my thoughts as well is that like it's like listen, it's healthy for this market to actually have a decent pullback. Now, I don't necessarily think it will, right? I think like we could just like start continuing on a higher low. I think like it'd be great for a new high if we just print a higher low from these like 490s, 480s on Nasdaq and like 90 on the S&P. But it is realistically healthy for this market to have a deeper pullback. Like I think Shamil was saying, can we pull back to 390? Like we can before we start rallying. It is possible. I just like if I want to see some bullishness and it's like strong bullishness, I'd rather not. I feel like if we get a deeper pullback today, it might be a little harder for the buy side to come in today. Maybe it just waits for next week for those like when it comes into those better prices. But like if we start breaking this like 480, 490 a little more aggressively, like I don't mind this thing pulling down. I don't mind this thing like reoffering, but that's only if I lose specific areas, right? If I lose specific areas, then I'll act the bearish. Like I have bias in mind right now, and we displayed and talked about that bias. And it's a malleable bias. So like if I lose XYZ level, then I'm no longer biased long, right? Like look at this 490 right now holding. You could honestly just be done on Nasdaq if you ping this off the open. Like for me, it's very tough for me to get in off the open. That's why I'm like, fuck. I talked about this like right before we just started. Like it's probably the trade. I don't know. I have trust issues off the open. The orders that come in, they kind of jerk me around a little. We also have the month-long mentorship coming out on Monday. So if you're a member on the paid side, you'll get access to that. They're filmed live. Jason, I never traded NQ. What tick setting do you use? So never traded NQ. Prepare yourself emotionally first before anything. You have to understand that. You might cry a little. You might be happy. There's going to be a mix of emotions going both ways. So with NQ, this is a 12 point, like whatever you see, like top left chart is a 12-point chart. I generally use about a 20-point stop on the NQ. On the footprint, I'll use a 12-point chart as well. My take profits, I like around 30-ish to begin points. And then anything after that is juice, right? Generally, like 2 to 1s are pretty attractive. And by the time I've been yapping, we could have just gone long, like, I don't know, 20, or sorry, yeah, 21, 490, and then fucking done. Jeremiah, which part that you might cry if you trade NQ? Listen, NQ, like, she's volatile. It can be shitty. It can be choppy. You can get stopped within like 2 seconds. But at the same time, present, like, if it goes, it goes. So I've been trading a lot more NQ this year, specifically over the last few months, because like the volatility on the S&P has been kind of ass. Even now, like the S&P is grinding higher, but like obviously it didn't trade anywhere that I would have been getting in. I don't know what to tell you. Brian, are you guys still long Nasdaq? Nice. You didn't bitch out on that pullback. You got low ticked on a contract? Oh shit. Well, I guess it did trade. What is that? Like 41 or sorry, 485 or something? Got 7 contracts left. Okay, that's cool. That's good, man. You just traded the 30 right now. They're building out a lot of positive delta. Oh, here comes Fatty.
Morning, Vic. Morning, Boxy. Morning, Trade Pros.
Morning, Fatty. What's up, man?
Buddy, how's
What's
it
up,
going?
guys? Good, good. Everything is good. Ah, the same old range, Vic. Eh? What are you
Hell
thinking
yeah.
here?
Rinse and repeat, man. Like shit.
Let's
Well, I was
keep-
thinking like, fuck, do I just enter long right at like 490, just like get it over with? But right off the open, dude, like it's just
Yeah,
not me. It's not me.
yeah. Because there is. What's your thought process now? What are you looking for? An expansion above the high to try to look for pullbacks to get along into? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, like yeah, that's the thing. Like we're making a new high from the overnight session. Um, I mean, right now into like we just pushed slightly above the overnight highs. Uh, even if we pop like let's say like 540 and we pull back to like 490, I still think it's acceptable. But
Mm.
yeah, probably like 550 break and retest is most likely going to be like the best opportunity to get like real strength and continuation. And just a little salty that
The
not on
trade
this
played out of
long.
the open. Yeah.
And then S&P, I don't know. Like yesterday, was it yesterday that we got like I think it was like the first like 15 minutes where the S&P printed four candles.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. Yesterday, our first trade was at like what, Fatty, 1050 or something.
Something like that. Yeah. 10:30.
Like it was like,
But now
yeah, I
we're
don't know
deep into
exactly
the
what.
session.
Yeah, it was like towards the end of the morning session, like on this like
Yeah.
little pullback. Like what a fucking move, though. That was my only trade, but first one
Yeah.
as well. I guess.
Same. Same.
A good way
I
to
think
start it on the day.
start.
Why isn't this shit charging? Is another issue of mine. What the fuck? Um, like sometimes in your like the port where your phone charges, there might be like a bunch of shit that's like clogged in there. I think that's the case for me. Doesn't feel like it is, but why aren't you charging? Really look dirty. Oh, I actually wish it there. Let's see. I'm not long, so fucking cry about it. That's happening. I thought the NFP would like pull back and then I could just like shoot this thing long. That was like my anticipated move, but I guess it didn't. Like it did pull back, yeah, of course. I don't know what I was waiting for.
It's unplugging the charger.
This piece of shit charger is starting to get on my nerves. 1 second. Let me see if I have other ones somewhere. Continue to grind here higher, I guess, on this. Is a phone issue at this point? Like, is my phone nerfed? Quick tech support. can't do anything until this is done.
Of course, priorities.
Yeah, I need this shit. This is ridiculous. What the fuck?
That's your charging port dying. That's what it is.
So over. Let's see. Third time's a charm. I'm gonna grab this other charger here. All my chargers liquidated. Nothing's happening anyways. You're just drilling into highs here. Here. So my morning's going while this thing is just ripping. I get long. That dumb 490. Now I'm gonna think about it for the rest of my life. Fantastic bid. That's what we're doing today, Fatty.
Is it working? You got it on, or?
My good.
Did you get it going?
No.
I Vic is gonna have to run a mission to the city to bring it to
Yeah,
the store. Uh, Do you have one of those pad chargers, Vic? I have one like in the mouse pad where you just place the phone and you don't have that.
oh man, I wish I should get one. It's not gonna
It
deliver in the
helps
next 20
because
minutes though.
fuck,
I don't know why I didn't think of it.
I had the same problem before and I had to go freaking change the port at Apple. I waited for like an hour. So
Oh my
yeah,
god.
I was like, yeah, that pad is Comes in clutch sometimes, but it is what it
There's
is.
shit in this. I'm picking some shit out of this, like charger area.
That's good, because that means it's probably clogged.
Yeah, it
Keep
is
digging.
clogged. I keep picking here, man.
Keep digging.
It's not like I can get long anything anyways. This thing's trading at fucking 70. Whoever was smart enough to just like buy it off the open or pre-market like a normal person is doing fine.
Like a normal person.
Like,
Like a normal degenerate, just get long. Like fuck it. It's at the level, just buy. No more thinking like me. You stupid market. I'm dealing with this shit. It's always something, man. I can't have a normal day. Where'd all this shit come from, anyways? Wow, 580.
Reverse through the high.
Band of Traders podcast. Yeah, you guys are streaming, watching me clean my phone. Nothing else right now. Because I was too much of a noob to buy it right off the open or even pre-market. On this, anyone listen? A bunch of people are long, at least. Like, you know what? Fair. Holy shit, almost 600. Yeah, well, I guess like you see, this is not bad. Like, I don't mind it because if we do pull back, I'll just buy it. You have like a big clustering start of delta around like 540. You have that prior area at 550 on Nasdaq. It don't matter. I missed the first initial major move, but there's gonna be something, I bet. Bro, it seems like there's a lot of shit in here. But I don't have like a toothpick or anything strong enough to like. Oh, I have earrings. 1 second. God damn, there's so much shit in here. How did it just stop charging today? Shit. Should have stopped charging like a billion years ago. This is like this Nasdaq wave. This happened, was it this week? That something like this happened as well, Fatty? Where like um it was like pretty much an off the open move. Or was it last week? I remember there was something similar. And I was like, damn. Fatty's making tea. Not listening to me. I have eyes on like 540, 550 on NASDAQ, prior high areas. Decent accumulation of volume. I took shit out, but it was holding a better charge before. Now it's just, oh my God, this shit just keeps going. I don't know. I'm not a believer of like chasing this thing or like trying to get in, like FOMOing into longs as this thing is ripped. Now what seems to be over 100, well over 100 points at this point. Big buyer just accumulating continuously. ES is barely, actually, no. ES has made a new high. Wish I had something more stable. This earring's so freaking small. NASDAQ. Wow. Surprised no one has any questions at all about anything. That's kind of ridiculous. Literally picking up my phone. There's no better time than now. Like I'm not on this long. I can't jump into this shit right now. That's ridiculous. Mike, you're gonna get put to timeout one of these days. Sometimes following my rules pushes me to miss out on 100-point zippers like this right off the open. Is day trading long-term profitable if you're good at it? I can't say yes or no. It depends on the person. And it's not for everyone. I'll give you that much. How do I enter into trend days? Like this? I don't even know this is a trend day. This is a fucking bazooka. Generally speaking, I do wait for some kind of pullback on a trend. We got like a pretty big expansion. These guys are getting a little overdone at this top, right? I don't really want to fade this, but generally on trend days, when you have this kind of expansion, I do like pullbacks into areas that are imbalanced, like for example on Nasdaq. S&P isn't like that expanded, but on Nasdaq, if you have a lot of like positive delta, for example, building out over here, like key areas around 550, 540 with all that positive delta, I'd like to see something like that. Other ways is when you're rotating in a trend day and like people start to get trapped on the sell side on the rotations, right? Like trap shorts, for instance. Like if I look at like let's say like a footprint, if you're not reading the DOM or if you're bad at reading the DOM, like if I look at the footprint and like I start to see rotations into some areas, like whether it's here, and people start getting trapped on the short like this, where like sell side comes in and they rebid it, right? That for me is a decent opportunity to get in on the long side continuation of the trend in terms of like shallow pullbacks. But that's why I'm waiting for like something potentially deeper. Like I think that this thing pulls back. I think it's a little overdone right now. Some decent selling's trying to come into it. But like how deep do we go? I don't imagine like super deep. Like ideally between 560 and 540, somewhere 550-ish maybe, you know. Hey, what is up, Baba and Kyle? I see you guys are in here. You'll see me playing tech support here, trying to save this phone. It's not even tech support, it's like cleaner. We'll start charging. Well, fucking champion. All right.
Congratulations.
Hold the charge. That was about 30 minutes of stupid work. And it's not like I missed anything, right? I missed just buying it off the open. That's what I missed.
How dare you?
I know. 1 minute off the open, like
Just under a minute now to the top of the hour. Looking out again.
not my strength. It's not my strength.
Line expected at 73, up from 71.8. An update from Goldman Sachs. They do maintain its $76 a barrel average 2025 Brent forecast.
Last thing I want to do is fade it, but like, damn, they're looking
10 seconds.
attractive for it. Yeah, a touch of volatility. I feel like something's coming out at 10, no?
That's 74. That's above the expected 73. For conditions, they're 77.7, so they rise. Expectations, they fall to 71.6. 1 year inflation expectations, they're up to 2.9%. 5 year, they're down to 3.1%. And
Consumer sentiment and its speech.
The headline, Sydney adjusted 52.
Fed speech.
Yeah. A lot of them today. So.
Just recapping that data for the sentiment, that was 74. So rose more than expected, rose above the expected 73 from 71.8. For conditions, they rose to 77.7 from the prior 63.9. Meanwhile, expectations, they actually fell to 71.6 from 76.9. In terms of those inflation,
like on the NAS, like this block over here,
2.6%.
Looks attractive to me if we can come down towards it, but
by 3.2%.
yeah, like a huge positive delta around like 6,100 on the SPOOs now. I don't know, man. These guys like they're refusing to get anything that's like deep.
Just back to Goldman Sachs, they do say the tightening effect of lower OPEC plus supply for longer offsets easing effect from an upside surprise to the OECD commercial inventories in November.
And these like big expensive moves, by the time you get like a decent pullback, this trend might be done. Oh. Might seem easy at first glance, you know? Like, oh, it's up. Why didn't you buy it off the open? Shut up. That's why. Mike, Mike, you got long 540 or 530. Listen, it's still a lot better than what I did. Like right off the open, man. Come on. I think that's a very hard trade.
It'll work once and it's not gonna work like 10 times. So it's just being selective when you do it. Thing is, when it works once, you can't stop yourself from doing it but times after. So it's either in the system or out of the system. Okay.
Yeah.
A bit
Yes,
more
I don't know.
Good. Saudi crude like to edge up to 9.25 million barrels a day.
My entry,
4 months of
my
OPEC
rules on entry aren't
increases beginning July.
like me buying
April.
like 520 or 540 or whatever. It's just I don't have what's it called?
And still see upside risk to prices in the short term.
Statistics to back that. I don't have proof to back that. Me just chasing the market, or like for some people it might not be a chase, right? For some people it's just like better confirmation, but for me it's like it's too far away at that point, and like it's too deep into the set, or I guess not too deep, but it's not deep into the session at all. And like now I'm like, this is the worst part because I'm seeing people that are getting trapped into the highs and some sellers that are hammering in at 610. Like, god damn.
It was good if it fade, honestly.
They're accumulating for that sell. You have like, if you look at the volume on the session, it's accumulating a lot of volume into the high. It's not really doing much. There's like a bunch of rotations here. I really don't want to fade this. I really don't. I don't want to be that guy. S&P looks super jumbled into these highs as well. I might honestly, I'll try to fill the SPOOs on a short. Oops. Shit. I'm trying to fill like sevens and sixes, but I don't know. I do like manual stops even. Come on. How many is that? 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 stops at like new highs, I guess. Yeah, it's a fade. It's a fade. As they're getting sellers stuck into the high too. Eee. I already know a bunch of people just blindly took this short. If I'm fade, like this is a fade. This is a shit trade. I think the R to R is like kind of there. Like if it works out, I think it's gonna be great, but the possibilities of it working out are not very high.
Lower probability, high reward. That's me.
Yep.
No,
I'm not
I'm
gonna
honestly,
fade both of these.
no, I faded Nasdaq. I'm looking at SPOOs. Like again, tough to double tip on a fade. But yeah, I have a piece of Nasdaq. Let's see.
Like look at the market at face value, right? You're ripping higher. Just because you're ripping higher doesn't mean the market has to pull back or it has to stop or it's how much higher could it go, right? Famous last words. I see some people that look kind of stuck with some like sell aggression. I'll try it, but like it's still counter trend. It's still lower probability. It's still most likely not going to work. But I think it's worth some risk, you know.
A bit more from the Fed's Bowman. Should be concerned if Fed cuts too much, could overheat the economy, she warns.
part of me might be taking vengeance because I'm not long the open, you know? There's a lot to unpack here. It's a big
600
ass buyer that keeps
buyers,
jumping in.
yeah, 7.75 on ES. 650, that's a huge order.
Yeah, I'm fooked.
Bit more from Fed Governor Bowman. The economy's performance questions view policy is restrictive.
Yeah, Mike, there's a difference between trying the fade 5 times versus once. You know what? When I take my loss here, I take my loss. I'm okay with that. Yeah, Lauren, I was trying to buy the Nasdaq like right after the NFP data hit, but like I couldn't get it. Started bumping up on like some like volatility. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna chase this. I thought I'd get a better option to catch that buy. And like Nasdaq getting stuck into
Nasdaq
these
is
highs like
ripping.
this on like the rebid, like is it fucking jumping on the buy? The
Nice
pullback, quote
rejection.
unquote, on the sell from the NFP, right? It wasn't very deep. It happened very quickly. Within like a minute, it was like back trading into like the highs. I was like, what the fuck? Manager could have been better around the 08s on the spoos, maybe. It's just like right now, the fluidity from the seller that comes in, it's not actually holding an offer. They're not like really re-offering it. Like I think if they can lose that like 05-ish, there's more of a chance. Another thing is like I know I talk about a specific bracket of stop, for example, 3 to 4 points on the S&P, but like the malleability of stops and targets, right? I think people should think about as well. Nothing in the market is going to be that like black and white and like clear cut, you know?
Yes,
Like, you gotta think a little.
On conference call,
Thousand sellers at
gross margins under
0.55.
pressure due to higher transport costs and
Yeah,
Literally
like a million buyers.
1,600.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
the improvements in selling margins help mitigate these effects.
A big ass buyer that just jumped into that. Let's see, they gotta lose this 05, you know? And like, look at Nasdaq catching a bid, like a huge buyer comes in on those rotations, like, Nasdaq, these guys look a little stuck on these pullbacks. I'm just like not trying to sell Nasdaq. Nasdaq looks like a freaking behemoth right now. You know, get spanked around by Nasdaq a little. No, thank you. What tech names are doing well? Like, I guess Meta, Nvidia wasn't. I think Tesla's doing pretty well. It's pulling back. Not really seeing too much magic on tech. Like all bullshit. Not the best of feels.
Geopolitics. According to Sky News Arabia, Russia told Damascus any intervention will be limited and that it has other priorities at this time. It's according to Sky, citing sources.
That was a nasty rebid into that 05. It puts a damper on this potential here. For some reason, Nas is pulling higher. Yeah, some pretty heavy buying is trying to come in here. Look at that Nasdaq pop. What are some of the leaders? Like who's holding bid in the Nasdaq? All right, so I think this is a big misconception. When you see the market ripping like this, like if you think it has to go down, there's no reason for it to go down, like other than it's overextended. But like overextension doesn't mean it has to go down. We could just see like 20, 30 point, not even 30, 20, 15 point pullbacks on Nasdaq all day, and it could just like continue ripping, you know? Like it's a very, very dangerous thing to look at a market that's ripping or dropping aggressively and think it has to pull back. No, it doesn't. We just expanded out above like a new minor auction. There's no reason for it to pull back. Like, let them continue buying. I think that kind of thinking can get you in trouble, so you just got to be careful with the. Like, if there's reason for it to pull back,
Names, US
100% agree.
law requiring Chinese-based ByteDance to divest its TikTok app in the US. And just note, in immediate reaction, some of these social names are seeing a bit of upside. SNAP Snap seeing upside in immediate reaction.
But what's the reason for this thing to pull back right now? Why would it pull back? Genuine question. Why do you think this market needs to pull back? Genuine question. Bro, if I was long on the day trade, that'd be fantastic. I'm still long swings. I'm still swinging the shit out of this, but like today, I decided to fade the spoos. Still got the options for January 27th. My triple Qs are almost in the money. SPY is in the money. Ah, it needs to pull back so I can get long. Oh, I wish it worked like that. Then I wouldn't be in this stupid short. Yeah, like his PE valuations. Yeah, especially on a day trade basis, they really give a shit about that. So far, wait, Baba says something that I agree with. So far, all we've done is trap every swing low. We're at 5-day ATR, my study at least. The only thing, need to lose. Oh my god. Need to lose something though, and so far all we've done is trap lows, pushing higher neck delta on every swing low. Exactly. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking at myself. Like every freaking neck delta that comes in, everyone that sells at market aggressively gets trapped so far and swings higher. Like for me, until those guys like actually breathe, keep going. So someone says the reason to pull back so to gain liquidity before continuing higher, but that like they're like, if they keep bidding and like people get trapped at higher prices, that's your liquidity.
If buyers are chasing prices higher, then the liquidity is just coming up to the price. They're not waiting down.
Like,
and the biggest indication of that is the number one is like price. Right? If prices keep like tapping new high, like you know what you're witnessing more on Nasdaq, unlike the S&P, because there's weakness on S&P, then it's not necessarily that the liquidity is waiting down there. It's like it's chasing price, and that's why every time a big seller comes in, it's kind of like they come in and they rebid him. Yeah. The image is kind of different between the ES and the Nasdaq though. Nasdaq keeps putting in highs. The ES kind of stagnant, can put in a high above the 11. So
yeah, the thing with the Nasdaq right now is like, listen, I would agree with you that like they might need to gain better buyers at lower prices, but like I would agree with that if right we didn't have the situation where people were getting stuck at higher prices. If the bids weren't coming in super aggressively, like I get where you're coming from. I just think that like a lot of traders kind of get trapped in that idea that like okay, we've gone up a lot, so we have to pull back to either get new longs or like take stops. And like listen, right, that's a lot, that's like it's a normal thing to think, but like I want you to explore the actual data that's coming in, right, the market orders that are coming in. And like if you see all of that like negative delta, for example, we were talking about, if that starts like getting flushed kind of like now, then like you start looking at it from that perspective. Okay, they can like start pulling down. Show me that they want to really hold some kind of offer to pull down. Because like if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, shit, it's very overextended, it has to go down, like that could get me into a lot of trouble. But if I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, well, there's a lot of people getting trapped in continuous bidding, continuous bidding. There's no lack of buying. There's no lack of liquidity at that point. And then
So
if something does break, okay, fantastic, fair. Okay, we're on the same page now.
yeah, overextension alone isn't an indication that like it's gonna pull back. It's the kind of like the mix between like being overextended and being heavy on the buy and like failing to put in a high. That's one aspect, and then breaking through one of the major supports or the immediate support that kind of opens up the door for the short more. Otherwise, this can be easily one of those like like higher high markets for like another 100 points. It just keeps going.
Yeah, honestly, with like no
Runaway.
pullbacks.
Yeah, runaway bull days. That's kind of what we call them. But yeah,
Like for example, someone just gets stuck at like 620-ish here on the NAS. So
so
like realistically, I would say that there's a better probability of me just buying that area than trying to continuously short this. Which is like it seems ridiculously high for sure. But like I just want you to try to stop thinking about it from like, okay, it's up a lot, like it has to go down. Start thinking about it like, okay, it's up a lot. How can I get on? Right. Because like
Just a bit
especially when
more
you see
about
that
IA.
data coming in where these guys are just like every time the seller comes in, they just like rebid it. That is an indication that should tell you, okay, like the trend's probably not going to end realistically anytime soon until something comes out to actually disrupt that imbalance. Like S&P looks like a bit shittier. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I opted in to short the S&P over the Nasdaq. Terrible fill, right? Like I got a bad fill. It's
European banking news. According to sources cited by Reuters, Banco BPM preparing to hire Citi
Tel
and
Aviv.
to advise on UniCredit bid. According to Reuters.
Like on the spoos, it pulled back into those like 05. Someone gets stuck at that area again, like holds a bid. I'm like, ah, shit. Like if I got filled into 08s, I'd feel a little better. But that's not the current circumstance. I just saw those like 07s being pretty imbalanced. They offered them, and I thought that that could have been a decent little guy. But so why don't I scratch my trades? It's a good question. One of the reasons why I don't scratch my trades is
who expects a
because
upcoming policy meeting.
realistically, like
25 basis point cut.
I've done the majority of the work was like me trying to like enter the trade. In terms of me trying to like over manage it, I don't think I'll do as good of a job in terms of deciding if the trade is going to be like a loser or a winner than I would actually trying to enter the trade, because this could easily just like turn on its head. And like if I take this like minor loss or like I take like a little loss or a little win right now and it starts going, I'm gonna be more upset about that. There's like the reason for that is when I get into a trade, ideally it's going to be a high probability setup. This one, okay, not so much. So there's a little more discussion of like why shouldn't I just like cut this right now? But like I'm already in too deep. I've already waited so long. I might as well just take the loss. And it's just like for me, I'd rather just go by ones and zeros for my progress on like my statistics realistically. So it like scratching leaves way too much to the interpretation of the information that's continuously coming in. And like I could make good and bad decisions based on scratching. Right? And then for me at least, it like trains a habit to just continuously scratch. So like I'd be scratching out of winners too,
Into the two interconnected cascades.
Because like some trades, they don't look good until like something pretty decent like it looks good for you
until it looks great,
and then it like starts to look like shit, and then you start to scratch it, and then it starts looking good again. You're like, what the fuck? Why did I scratch that? Listen, Michael, you being long NASDAQ, it's probably the better trade, but I hope you get stopped dead. Just for my sake. No, no disrespect. Okay, you took small profit. Win-win, whatever. Yeah, like sizing based on like probability of setups changes as well. So like if it's a better setup, like I'll usually put more size on. Well, it's Friday, trading some micros. That's how we do it on Fridays. This is my 9th trade of the week. It might be my last one, regardless of the outcome. Like we haven't moved in I don't know how long. Like we've been rotating into these highs for an extended period of time here.
Vic, you want to throw up the early exit?
Yeah, see what does that mean? That means we're an hour into the session.
No, it's 10:30. So yeah, we're an hour into the open session.
Yeah, so an hour into the opening session, this thing like it just ran up off the open and then stopped.
That social media story, US
So-
Congress has acknowledged its decision means without extension, TikTok will effectively be unavailable in the US after 19th of Jan.
Wait, what?
You ban TikTok?
ByteDance has to divest from TikTok, or they're going to shut it down in the US.
Oh wow, so they got to sell it to a US company is what you're telling me.
Yes.
That's how
It was
many
a court
years have they been
decision.
trying to Sorry, what's that?
It was a court decision. It's a judge's ruling.
Uh
So
but this has been an ongoing topic for like what, like a decade?
oh, for a long time.
Not that I use TikTok or I've ever sat there and
I'm
scrolled
still
through
aware of
TikTok.
a report in the FT. The
Scroll
Israeli
through Twitter,
president
but I'm
reportedly
scroll through
called
anything.
Elon Musk to revive the Gaza hostage talks. The Israeli president held talks with Musk at the request of some families of the prisoners.
On the ES right now, you've got two higher lows from 05 and 06 of people that are trapped that held a bid. That is who needs to break. Yeah, pretty big negative delta at the 06. Here's the thing. I took about like 4 points of heat, I guess, on the peak of this like drawdown. And like if I scratch right now for like 3 ticks, like what the fuck was the point? Nasdaq's trying to gain some momo on the seller. Let's see if this guy gets stuck at that 620 again. So far it's happening. These market conditions just keep getting better and better every day. Like fuck, like this S&P just keeps getting stuck at like a higher lows. That like flash offer that came down into like 05 on the spoos and then just immediately got rebid. That's like that's not at all what we wanted to see. And now you have slightly incremental higher lows that are acting as like the biggest barrier of all time. There's a like the way that this is shaping up,
Says
there's like a
pending
decent
implementation of
probability we just like
necessary
head fake a
additional
little higher and
measures
then the
agreed
offer
to
comes in
implement
like
temporary additional
too much
safe
buying. I'm probably getting stopped
at
out.
order. For BX Blackstone and EQT have advanced into the next round of your basis sale, according to sources cited by Reuters.
It's too eager on the fill. We offer the shit at a 610 on NAS, then yeah, sure, something might appear, but the probabilities are stacked against this.
Fed Scoresby, 227,000 jobs number is a big number, but we need to look at averages. More from the 2025 voter Goolsby. On average, it feels like the jobs market was cooling from a very hot level to something like sustainable full employment.
Let's bet on this. What are the chances this turns into a juicy winner? What are the
Honestly,
odds?
the longer they hang around here, the more buying accumulate, the more likely that if it flushes to the downside, you're gonna get a nice decent run to the downside. That's honestly like what is happening now kind of serves you for that objective. What
Yeah, I
are the
don't think it's like
odds?
the worst trade out there. I just think my entry is pretty freaking bad.
Your stop compensates
Goolsby
for
says
it.
last few months, jobs numbers
I
feels like a
guess.
sustainable full employment place.
You don't have to have the best entry if you have a white stop. That's
You don't have to have the best entry if you
crazy.
don't have a stop.
Yeah. It's just
Simple.
very good. So it kind of messes up with your overall like risk to reward, and also you can taper like let's say you're that like you're short like 9.5, like you know what I mean? It's like probably by the time it touches 5.5, you're gonna be taking profit at that point, and you're not gonna be taking as much heat, and that's why having a clean entry helps. It just doesn't often have. It's tough.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was so used to trading Nasdaq, and like I can get in almost wherever with like a
Yeah,
20-point stop. It's like,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. The difference is, yeah, I hear you.
And S&P over here, I'm like drowning with a 5-point stop. Yeah, now that we've seen like a little more rotations, like Sahaj was saying as well, like we haven't, like I feel like we should have pumped higher at this point. But then again, why haven't we pulled back?
To be aware on the Fed front for some commentary from GS Goldman Sachs' chief economist Hatzius. He says at the margin, today's jobs unemployment rate rather supports a December rate cut, but he adds it's not certain yet, given we have CPI next week.
So. These assholes get stuck literally another tick higher from the prior people that were getting stuck, or is it 2 ticks? Whatever. It's like ticks. This is manipulation. Algos.
More from Fed Scoresby, measurements like the ratio of vacancies to number of unemployed people show balance in the job market.
Damn, they keep accumulating like decent sized sellers and just like kind of pulling them higher. I don't like this. Nasdaq, you
Break
gotta slap a
620.
heavier offer, man. Like,
Yeah, I just should have been telling it. She's not
no listening.
responsive. Uh-huh.
It's a little peek to see if anyone wants to sell under that 20. They let them go down to 617 on the NAS. They allow them. They allowed S&P to test like the fives. Say enough. Get a taste for the selling. Now get fucked. Like 05 is where that big buyer came in that imbalanced this thing that like immediately swung it to the upside. So it's the main criteria for this thing to fall right now. If I got filled 08, 09, it's not like I would have had great gains, but be a little happier. God, I see like these big sellers are coming in, but like the re-offer is like non-existent. Like fucking Nasdaq like immediately gets stuck into that low. $300 trying to offer at 5.75 on this spoos. Nasdaq got like stuck just under that 520. Yeah. Fake market. Scammers. Watching this DOM right now pretty intently to see how we react with that big buyer.
Let's Goolsby says what happens with immigration will have
a Goolsby, come on,
impact on the size
destroy
of
this thing.
the labor force.
Be the hater we know you can be.
Be the savior of 20 shorts.
Shit, these guys,
620 is holding like a menace on that stick here.
All these offers, like they're not re-offering. Like re-offer non-existent. The only thing I can do right now is just look at this.
Fed Goolsby, the 2025 voter says inflation has inched up a bit, still thinks the US is on a path to 2%.
Goes before the savior, a 620 break.
Yeah, let's see.
Almost.
This trade is based on Goolsby.
Goolsby. This is a Goolsby signal.
This guy make or breaks this trade. Fuck. I'm in the hands of someone named Goolsby.
That's a disturbing thought.
The success of this trade relies on Goolsby. That's crazy. Well, listen, if I had a better fill, maybe I probably would have thought of maybe cutting some.
US equities, HSBC forecast S&P 500 target of 6,700 for the end of 2025.
No, I thought they were going to say at the end of this year, 6,700. Ooh, that'd be a crazy run. More bullish than me, even. Do I have a video of how I pick my entries? Yeah. I write them down in a hat before the market opens and I just pick one, see what happens. That's how it seems like I chose it today. Fucking hell. No, like yeah, I do have videos of it. This one was not good though. This is not the best example of what I should have been doing. They traded down to 0.2, like fuck man, like 1-to-1 RR.
Fed
That's
Scoresby
ass.
said he will not pre-commit to the December meeting decision.
Like this time, if I MSA'd, my fill would have been like 0.5 and I would have been
inflation
super
and
screwed.
consumer spending.
Yeah, I do go through the entry
He
process.
said the
I think a lot of
inflation is still encouraging.
what I've been doing recently has been based off of NASDAQ as well as like larger positions. So I'm like using slightly wider stops. So like my entry on the S&P is not very good today. But if I looked at it maybe a bit better because I got a little trapped by these like people getting absorbed, I think I should have been filling to start at 0.8. I said that too, honestly, in all fairness, but I didn't really abide by those rules necessarily. Nasdaq's leaking a little. You got a nice next stop or a pretty big level at that 600. Someone looks like they're trying to get stuck at 605 on Nas. It'd be fantastic if they didn't. But on the way up, you had some people that were trapped there. Should have fucking short the Nas. I don't know what else.
We'll have a
I
series
have the Nasdaq short, but you don't want to know what it took to get on that move.
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
Uh,
did you short a few?
Like the first time was around 620, 618. I took one off and got stopped on 4, right? And then the second time was around the 32s, but it took like freaking, like I was in from, I think the first, you see that move that took you into 44 and got rejected? I kind of got in below that and had to wait half an hour. So I only took one stop, but the wait was enormous. And Nasdaq, man, was too fluid to the upside, so it's tough to hold. So I was consistently with that thought of, hey, like we're gonna reverse. I'm gonna eat the second stop. But hey, I don't know, man. I did short the ES Vic. Like it was there the whole time. I was just, I don't know.
I
It's
thought the
not
US was going to
maybe
be a better short, but I think I'm wrong.
I don't know what is what at this point. Like we're wait to see. But now it's like took one stop to get the move. It was worth it so far. It'd be worth it. Another 50-point lower into 76. I'll be happier.
Rates, which will likely come down
50 points lower, fuck man. That'd be impressive. This S&P, goddamn, like it's like
Come on,
it's
with
barely
all that
cracked lower.
accumulation, with all that accumulation, I'd think it. Well,
Like S&P gets stuck at this like 0.3 something. I don't love that.
reversal trades, I never get him off on the first touch. It's just that's
Fuck, man, these guys just like
Yeah, I got
pulling
caps
right back.
600 that are above the 5 into the 5. Might just flatten Nasdaq here, honestly, and call it slightly green. I have my stop at 32. Can easily go there, honestly. Mm.
Fucking hell. These are like these are the days where like it's trying to fade is like painful because like every offer is just getting gobbled up. Like you can see the reaction, like the momentum, the movement that you're like you're clearly fighting against something, you know? You're going against the wind.
Who's back? Wait. That's like almost at
Those
56.
are back my dog shit entry. Yeah, dispute this trade with the CME, see if they bite. I didn't mean to. Give me a do.
You guys don't have a free trial policy? I'll take it for a ride, and if it doesn't work, I'll bring it back. I wish it works that way.
I wish, man.
Yeah. Spirit was with Goolsby. You're like, hey, you said inflation is ticking up and the markets didn't tick down, brother.
I know, man. Goes we didn't talk enough shit.
Yeah.
Kind of failed me, honestly.
Goolsby.
A ridiculous name. I can't take him seriously. If he becomes head of the feds somehow,
Oh my God.
that'll be a bad few years.
Yeah. Twitter's gonna go crazy.
Powell has such like a commanding name, you know, like Powell,
Yeah.
Jerome Powell, you know.
Yeah.
I listen to fucking Goolsby. Come on. Austin Goolsby, and Austin spelled Austan. That's the only time. This is the first time I've ever seen Austin spelled like that. Goolsby. You didn't do what I needed you to do. He's been around for a while. Says he was also chief economist and chief of staff to Paul Volcker. at the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board, the board that was formed in the wake of the financial crisis. Huh. Maybe Goolsby has earned some respect. Goolsby. Well, okay, not S&P. Nasdaq's back. S&P sucks. Nasdaq's back to this to the 620 area where they were like getting a little stuck. Now we're under, I guess, coming from under that
2025
imbalance.
voted Goolsby. The recent rise in productivity.
This is a dangerous game. If they rebid this like
high-tech
super
services
aggressively and
can
easily,
have
like
a longer runway.
easy move higher. Volcker was he was in 70s.
Paul
He
Walker,
might have
yeah.
he was yeah, the what's it called? The Fed chair then. But I'm talking about the I guess the Economic Recovery Advisory Board, not the Fed. That's what he was like that's what Goolsby was a part of with Volcker. I guess Volcker worked late. I don't know. A billion years old. I think he's not alive anymore, but
You wanna run the poll, Vic?
yeah, I completely slipped my mind. I've been in this trade for 7 years. It feels like I've been in this trade longer than I've been in my swings. They got stuck at 07s on the spoos. I guess that's a plus. These that 600 delta that's trapped at 03 on the spoos is not great for me. Nasdaq trying to hold. Oh, 2/4 was the low of that move. I was up 4.5 points. It's fucking Nasdaq's resilient, man.
Bro, it is. I know. Above 620 now. That was safe to say that wasn't worth the wait. I thought that give a nice move from 36 down into 600. That was 30-point plus, but that was about it. Out
Fantastic
on
in these
that.
conditions.
Yeah. I'm out on Nas now. 2 trades on Nas today. First short, and the second one worked a little better, but waited in it for like 40 minutes. I don't know. Let's hope Vic's short on plays out. Look, they're holding below 7, so that's good.
It's a start.
It's just
Once again, Fed's with inflation. The Fed will get to 2% inflation. He should not consider changing the target.
it's a start indeed.
I'm looking at Nasdaq, just catch every possible bid
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Like ES reoffers and then just rebids right away. Like fuck.
Let's close this call out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
First split even between up and down. Thank you, Boxy, for the numbers. Appreciate it, Habibi. You wanna Michael is asking Boxy, do you look for any order flow on CL or purely price action?
No, I don't do order flow.
You don't do
And
order.
still,
Perfect.
Order flows for idiots.
Hello. Awesome. And order for Boxy?
So far, the rise of crypto-based assets has not had much macro impact.
I'm sorry, say again?
You wanna do a wrap up on oil?
Yes, yes. So the oil market has continued its move to the downside. We've been trending down most the entire session. We put in a low of 66.98 about 10:30. We've since come back up towards the open from that. And so the trends are mixed. There is no trend because we're currently making higher highs and higher lows. So just be cautious in this market. Whatever you do, monitor your risk, trade like a trade pro, and preserve that capital. Gentlemen, thanks for another great day, another great week. I hope you two and all of TRADEPRO Academy has a great rest of the day and a great weekend. And we'll see everybody on Monday. Ciao.
Thank you, Boxy. Appreciate you, sir. 70% for the poll numbers, guys, but so pretty good, honestly. The early exit was a lot better numbers, but overall, like for me at least, two shorts on Nasdaq. One was top, the second one was decent. I took a plus 30 on some and then got stopped on the last two at break even. A little bit close break even. Slightly green on the day for me, but like nothing significant here. I saw the short today, yes, looks good now, but hey, it was hung around that top. I honestly had the chance. I just didn't want to double dip considering it was already infected and in queue. So overall, not bad. I'll take that. I'll take that honestly for today. Kind of like it's been that whole week was like kind of one trade and one and done type of week, honestly. So I'll take that for the morning session. The ES short is working beautifully. I hope you guys are on that. You know, like that took a while to play out, but here we are trading on 1s, 0.2s. Like, I think Vic, you have some profit taking that you can do now. But yeah, overall, good week. You know, in terms of execution, it was mostly like just one and done and the market has just been slow. So I think that's kind of like the best approach is like that's how we approach the market in times where there's no volatility and low volume. Look for one good setup over the market context that develops over the first half an hour and from the overnight session. You kind of bang one trade and you leave. I don't know if I'm gonna do any more trading. Honestly, I don't want to like chase the shorts or buy at this moment. I just see that ES, which was leading in weakness, kind of is like developing lower prices, so that's good. And we shall see how the rest of the day develops. Great short, Vic, and yeah, back to you, brother.
Yeah, we'll see how this thing pans out. We hit like just under that 6,100, like pretty decent move. I was saying if I had a slightly better fill, shit would have been fantastic. But honestly, like whatever, decent trade here. We'll see. I think like there's still some like upside momentum. I think 6,100 is a pretty strong target area for this. I don't know how deep this S&P and this Nasdaq goes. So I'll probably not honestly take any other trades today. I think this might be it for me. I think that I kind of want to wrap that up on a good note, and then I'll see how I manage this. But I think there could be maybe a little push lower. But we're into a spot right now where there should be some kind of support structure. These guys like they're trying to like come on the bid like very, very eagerly and quickly every time this thing sells off. So I don't think that it's like a massive potential sell move. I'd love to be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. There's a little more downside here. If this Nasdaq loses 600, I think that like the potential isn't like massive. I think that the potential is like I was saying 550-ish area, something like that. So thanks for jumping on the stream with us, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this stream Friday. One trade and done. And there you go. Decent trade after all. It worked out okay. I just didn't love my entry. You heard me bitch about it. And missing that long off the open, you got to watch me repair my phone for the first 30 minutes of the session. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed that. And yeah, let's see what we have in Discord. We start our mentorship program next month, this coming Monday. And it's going to run for about a month's time. So you guys can check that out at tradeproacademy.com. And I'll see you guys in the gulag. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you on the